morning, guys.
Good morning, Saturday school.
Are you happy to be here today?
Yes.
Are you having fun?
Yes.
So you're going to be learning about the lost coin today. Money, 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 money.
That someone was so rich and then he lost money.
Well, wait till you hear the story, okay? Today's Bible reading is going to be taken from the book of Luke. Luke chapter 15, verses 8 to 10. And it's the parable that Jesus told about the woman who lost her coin. From verse 8. Or imagine a woman who has 10 coins and loses one. Won't she light a lamp and scour the house, looking in every nook and cranny until she finds it? And when she finds it, you can be sure she'll call her friends and neighbours. Celebrate with me. I found my lost coin. Count on it. That's the kind of party God's angels throw every time one lost soul turns to God. So, even though this story is about a lost coin, it's also a story about redemption. It's also a story about when people turn away from God, how God is happy when they turn back. Okay? And there's so many reasons why people turn away from God. Do you know why people can turn away from God? Because sometimes people just want to do their own thing and they forget all about God. So they could be enjoying life, they could be having fun times with friends, going out, doing their own thing, and then not create that time for God. And if you do that for a very, 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 very long time, it eventually gets to a point whereby you lose connection with God. And to God, that means that you're lost. Because if God is speaking, you can't hear anymore. Because you're in your own world, okay? So now, we're going to watch a video to help you see the story in an animated way. So for those of you watching online, click the link in the description and you'll be able to watch the same thing too. A real quick summary now of the lost coin. Only one person can say it.
The woman was counting all her coins. She only had 9.
But how many did she need?
She only needed 10. So she went to find the coin that was missing, and then she asked the friends to celebrate that she found her lost coin.
Very good, well done. Very good. So that's the story of the lost coin. So it's in a summary, it's about someone who has something precious, something that she values, something that she loves, but one of it is missing. And because it's so precious to her, she has to try and look for it anywhere, everywhere that she can find it. If it means digging under the rugs, if it means going under chairs, she would look for that coin because it means so much. That one, it has the same meaning, it has the same value to her as the 9. So she wasn't thinking, I've still got 9. I'm not bothered about the 1. She was like, no, I need to count for all my 10 coins and I won't rest until I find the missing one. Okay? So it shows us as well that we have to be hold dearly, responsible, very good, responsible, and hold dearly to whatever we're given, whatever in our care, whatever we're supposed to be looking after. So what is an example of some of the things that you're supposed to look after carefully? Your Legos, you're not supposed to be missing pieces. Your magnetic sticks, you're not supposed to be missing pieces. So you're supposed to be like that woman and make sure that you look after everything that's been given to you. Okay? And can anybody tell me what that word is for people that look after things?
Diligent.
No, there's a word.
No, that's the one I wanted to say.
Anyway, keep thinking about it. When it comes to you, you just let me know. So firstly, we're going to think about who is God. The lost coin and God's intimacy. Okay? So now,
Intimacy.
in terms of the story and the parable that we've just read, who is God? So we see that God is like that woman. He values us deeply. So just as that woman, was looking after her coins, her possessions, right? The same way God cares about us because he created us. So God cares about us deeply, okay? God loves us so much. He loves us so much that he didn't want that loss of connection between us and him to be permanent. So he sent his only son to die for us so that we could have a connection once more with him. God also knows us intimately. So even when, yes, because he's lost, right? So just like the woman lost her coin, right? That child is also lost. Like, he's confused. He doesn't know what to do. And sometimes in life, we're like that with God. And God's like, even when we're lost and we're confused and we don't know what to do, God knows what to do, right? He can make the best out of any hopeless situation. Any situation that we feel is so bad, God can always work it around for good. So even when we feel lost, and what did I say feeling lost is like? What did I say in the beginning about feeling lost?
Lost.
Yeah, I said it sometimes when we feel confused, like we're doing all the partying.
No, I know.
Yes.
That when God's trying to speak to you, you can't hear him.
Very good.
She said that.
Very good. I did say that in the beginning. Yes, very good. You were listening. So that's a feeling of lost, yeah? That must have been the same way those coins were feeling. The missing coin, if it had feelings, if it could talk, it would have been feeling really lost. It would have been feeling like it lost connection with its owner. And sometimes as humans, we feel that way. But we must always remember that God can make the best out of any messy situation we get ourselves in, okay? Nothing's too difficult for God. So quiz. Now's time for quiz.
There's not enough time.
Question 1. What did Jesus tell to teach us something important? A joke. B, a story. C, a riddle.
What's a riddle?
A riddle is a confusing question, a tricky question. It makes you think. Question 2. How many coins did the woman have in the parable? A, 5, B, 10, C, 20. Question 3. Why did the woman look for the lost coin? A, she wanted to buy candy. B, she cared for all her coins. C, she wanted to give it to a friend. Question 4. Who is like the woman in the parable who cares for us? A, our teacher. B, our neighbor. C, God. Question 5. What did the woman do when she found the lost coin? A, she danced. B, she cried. C, she was happy and celebrated. So did everybody get everything right?
Yes.
Very good. Okay, help yourselves to some treats. So, come to another wonderful part. Why did God create you? So here we're going to look at the desperate search in God's pursuit. Okay? So, the most important thing that you need to know is that God created you for his pleasure. Okay? Because when God created you, he was like, it is good. It is good. God likes to look at us. When God sees us, God is happy. So we make God, pleased. The fact that we are here, we make God pleased. So God created us for his pleasure. So why did God create you?
For his pleasure.
And what does that mean?
That means it's okay.
No, that means that when God sees you, God smiles, God's happy, God is pleased. Yeah? It's just like I told you that when you did your lovely painting, remember? That's really beautiful, that's in the bathroom. When you see it, don't you feel glad that you created that? You look at it and you're like, how beautiful is that? Right? The same way when God looks at you, God is like, how beautiful are you? So you were created for God's pleasure. So why were you created?
For God's pleasure.
Why were you created?
For God's pleasure. And
Why
love.
were you created?
God's purpose.
Very good.
And love.
And love. Very good.
And heart.
And the other thing is, remember we talked about the lost coin. The lost coin means that there's no longer a connection between God and creation. What do you think broke that connection between us and God?
The coin.
Huh?
The coin.
No. What do you think broke the connection between humans and God?
That sin.
Very good. Well done. It was sin, right? So because of that lost connection, God is constantly always trying to bring us back into a relationship with him, right? And so the story of the lost coin and this woman evidently shows how God is always constantly trying to bring us back to him. So that's why it says God relentlessly seeks us when we stray. And what does it mean when you stray? Do you know what it means when you stray?
Yeah.
That means when you go missing, you know, when you're lost, when the connection between you and God is broken, that means you go stray. So we see that in the parable, Jesus emphasizes that the woman searches everywhere. And that's exactly the same thing that God does for you. So that means that the way the woman is searching everywhere, looking for this lost coin, that's the same way that God does it. And God does it with such urgency. God does it because he loves you so much, right, that he wants to have a relationship with you.
That was what I was about to say. Be friends.
Like I said, God is very determined to make sure that we have a relationship. Relationship, remember, connection, right? Connection means that you're in a relationship with someone. You're in a partnership with someone. You're dealing with someone, okay? You're speaking with someone. You're intimate with someone, okay? And that's what God is about. God wants us to have a relationship with him. So how do you think we can have a relationship with God? What are some of the ways that we can have a relationship with God?
Worshiping.
Very good.
Reading the Bible.
Very good.
Praying.
Praying. Very good.
And reading books.
Reading books. And what's the other thing?
Praying to God.
We heard about it yesterday at church.
Talking to other people.
Talking to other people, but there was a word that he used. Fellowship.
Fellowship.
It's called fellowship. Fellowship, it means meeting with other people that believe in God and just, you know, having a good time with them, praying with them, having fun with them, playing games with them, you know, making sure they're okay, you know, checking in on them, you know, that sort of thing. So, at the end of the story, we saw that the woman celebrated. She was so excited. She was as excited as Olumakin was when he was winning on his game. Like, Mum, see, I'm getting all these points. She was as excited as Olumito was when, you know, what does Olumito get excited about? When he wants to eat Cheerios. He gets very excited. Cheerios, 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 Cheerios. He's as excited as Emissy is when, you know, you're giving her a bar of chocolates. Or when she knows that, you know, she's... So God was very, 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 very excited.
God is excited when she's drinking all of her juice.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's not me. He's the one that hypes it.
So God was so excited that he found the lost coin. So that's what happens when we come back to God and we say, Father, I love you. Father, I just want to hear from you. Father, speak to me. Father, what would you like me to do? God is so super duper excited. In fact, there's no way of describing how excited God is. But he's so, and guess what? It's not just God. It's not just God that's excited. Hold on. It's not just God that's excited. Even the host of heavens are excited. The angels, all of heavens are excited when one of us comes back and says, Lord, Father, I'm here. Do you remember the story of a child that went away and went astray? I don't want you because I know you know it. We've done that story before. It was a parable about a son that went away. We've done it. We've done a story about the son that went away.
At Saturday school.
Yes.
I don't remember.
Let me see, what's the story that we did?
The prodigal son.
Yes, the prodigal son. That was a story of a son that went away and came back to the father and said, I'm sorry. He didn't even want to be a son anymore. He was willing to be a servant. But the father said, what? No, you're the son. Gave him a beautiful robe and killed the fatted calf. So that calf had been stored for a time when that son was going to return. So that's how valuable we are to God, okay? So God really, really rejoices and really, 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 really celebrates over us, okay?
I didn't remember that story before, but now I remember.
And then, you know, women are very dramatic.
No.
We love to dance. We show our emotions. We love to hug.
Daddy, so that
We love
true.
to kiss.
That is
You
not
know,
true.
we love to be around our children.
But you have more married to me than
That's good.
So
He's doing this.
remember, she was so excited. She was telling her neighbors, right? She was telling her neighbors about this coin that she had found. And God was saying that's how God feels, you know?
And that,
God is dramatic. God is like,
and
I
then
am
they were
so
dancing.
excited.
And then
Yes,
they were
dancing, rejoicing, like, you know, the works, the whole shebang. We're going to watch a video. And this video is about a little bit of African Yoruba history, okay? And it's about a very, very powerful woman in the Yoruba culture. So listen attentively, because I will be asking you some personal questions afterwards, just to make sure that you're paying attention. Anyway, for those of you watching online, you just click the link in the
Why is
description
Daddy in that
and
video?
you'll be able to watch the same video. Right, so what question have you got?
What was the queen's name again?
Moremi.
Moremi.
Do you even understand what that story was about?
No.
The story of Moremi was like she was in a kingdom and the kingdom were always under attack by these neighbors, right? And these neighbors were very, very powerful. And the people in the kingdom that Moremi was living, they were getting petrified because they kept being defeated, people kept being killed or being taken as slaves. So Moremi decided that enough was enough. She had to find a solution to this problem. So she decided to go and be a slave with those people that were always coming and killing her people, right? So when she got there, she pretended to be a slave and she was so good at whatever she was doing that she was able to get into the high powers in that kingdom. And she was able to figure out, she was able to figure out what their strategies were for defeating her own people. So when she had gathered enough intel, enough intelligence, she went back to her own land and told her own people, these are the strategies of our enemies. And her own people were able to plan their own strategies with their soldiers, with their military, that when the enemies came, they were able to defeat the enemies, okay? So that's the story of Moremi, a woman that didn't feel like she was not capable, that didn't feel like she didn't have anything to offer, but saw that even with how God created her, she could find a solution to save her entire people. And because of her great feat and what she did, she's revered as somebody of historical relevance and importance within the Yoruba culture, okay? So that's why I shared that story with you.
Africa.
Yes, Nigeria. So now we're going to learn about your purpose, okay? Exploration of your identity and your purpose, okay?
Not purpose again.
So, one of the things that we learn is that every time Jesus told a parable, he used a lot of descriptors, a lot of metaphors to highlight principles. And even though in that story, he's talking about a coin, he's really using a coin as a metaphor to describe us as humans. So, first things first, we know that we are more than a coin. We are living beings because we were created in the image and likeness of God. But the coin in that story was an example, okay? So the first thing that you need to always remember is that you are more than an object. You are a creation with a purpose. God did not just create you to just be aimless and wandering through the earth. God created you, and within you, he has put a purpose, okay? He has put a wonderful purpose that only you can accomplish. And why only you? Because nobody has your DNA. That is why we do fingerprints. Do you remember when we were traveling and they have to do your biometrics? They would say, obviously the children, they didn't do for the children, but for Emisi, myself and your dad, they would tell us to put our finger in there and they would do a biometric.
Why? It's not
right?
like our fingerprints on our passport.
No, but your fingerprint is unique to only you. So if somebody goes somewhere else and they hold on, If somebody goes to another country and they commit an offence and they say, oh, my name is Imisi blah, 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 and they give your date of birth and they give everything, and they got that person's biometrics, that's all they need to disprove that claim that it's not you. So your DNA, your fingerprint is unique to only you. So just as your DNA is unique to only you, so is the purpose that God has created for only you. And how do you think you find out that purpose that God has created for only you? How do you think you can find it out? Praying, listening to what he has to say, okay? Very good, praying. And understanding yourself, because there'll be certain things that you're very, very good at, that you love to do without anybody asking you to do. Talking to God, very good, okay? So, is to walk with God and experience his love, okay?
Did you say walk with God?
Yes, walk with God and experience his love. And what does walking with God mean? Does it mean that you just stand up and you're like, okay, God, let's go, and then you're walking? Is that what walking with God means? So what does walking with God mean? Very good. It means praying to God. What else does it mean?
Worshipping to God.
Worshipping God. Very good. And what else?
Reading the Bible.
Very good. You guys are on fire today. Well done.
Fellowship.
No, it's those three things are to do with God. Now, fellowship is to do with each other. But the three things, praying, worshipping, reading the Bible, that's how you walk with God. That's how you build relationship with God, okay? And then God formed you in his image to reflect his glory, okay? So whenever you're walking according to the purpose that God has got for you, you're reflecting his glory on the earth. What are the three things that I told you guys before? We've done it before. The three things that demonstrate...
Learn, love, and create.
Very good. You guys are on fire. Guess what? There it is. So you learn, you love, and you create.
Mummy,
Right?
let them do sign. Sorry, that is a video.
Yes, those are the things that God has created you to do, to learn, to love, and to create.
God formed you
Yes.
in his imagine to reflect his glory.
Yes.
What is
Okay.
it about?
And for those of you watching at home again, you can
Hit
see
the
the
links
links in the
below.
description. Okay?
This
Henrietta Lacks is a black woman, a black American woman. And before she died, she basically had cancer, and they took some of the cancerous cells, and they didn't realize it, because up until that time, scientists will try and find a cell that can propagate itself, which means it can keep reproducing. So they can do studies, they can do tests, so they can find cures to disease. But nobody's cells, even though it was cancerous, was doing that. But for some miracle, this woman, Henrietta Lacks, it was her cancerous cells that they were able to use to find so many discoveries, find so many treatments that humanity is benefiting from today. And the most astonishing thing as well is the abbreviation that the doctor gave to those cells, healer. If you think about it, healer. What is a healer? Yeah, but healer. What's a healer? Healer is someone that heals, and it just happens that the name of those cells are called healer. So I just find that very that's a huge coincidence. But the sad thing is, the opportunistic scientists and all the medical bodies who were benefiting off this woman and depriving her family of even benefiting from what was hers. They never told the family that they were using her cells, because nowadays, if you're going to use somebody's cells, you've got to get permission from their relatives. Or maybe before that person died, they may have signed something to say, you can harvest my organs and use it for X, Y, and Z, right? But in those times, they were very dishonest people, and they chose to use her cells without her permission. And it wasn't until 20 plus years later that the family found out that they had actually been using her cells for all kinds of scientific research. So thanks to Henrietta Lacks, today, people have a cure for polio, have a cure for mumps, have a cure for measles, have a cure for cervical cancer, have a cure for so many other diseases, and even inventions that we're not even aware of.
How did they know?
How did they know what?
They found out some
How do they know what?
The scientists will
No, the scientists always take, like, you know, in those times when people die or whatever, they would actually take a specimen. So, for example, they're operating, because the thing is, when they cut out a cancerous cell, it's of no use anyway, but you still have to ask permission because it's come out of somebody's body. But these medical, you know, experts were not doing that. They were just taking it and testing it to see, is it going to reproduce? Is it going to reproduce? And then they just happened to take Henrietta Lacks one, and they saw that this thing could propagate. It could propagate. And they were sending it to other labs all over the world. But I think the disappointing thing was the fact that they were not honest enough. They were making money off of this woman, and they did not tell her family. They did not want, and she had children. She had 5 children. She also had a husband. But these people were exploiting her. So on the one hand, we're thankful for the contributions of Henrietta Lacks' cells, but on the other hand, it's disappointing that it was exploited as well. Okay?
You mean it was spreaded?
No, I mean that the people that were doing the test, were making money because they were inventing things based on the outcome of those tests, but they weren't, you know, giving it to the rightful owners. They weren't giving whatever revenue they were making to the rightful owners. So now we're going to look at the financial principles. So the word that I said began with an S was steward, right? When you're given something to manage and look after, you're a steward of that thing, okay?
Yeah.
So the word I said is what?
Steward.
Being a good steward. Well, let me tell you, paying attention. What's the word?
Steward.
Very good, okay?
Mommy.
So when it comes to financial principles is always about being a good steward of whatever is given to you. It could be really teeny weeny, itsy bitsy, and it could be huge, right? Whatever it is you're given, you've got to look after carefully. Whether it's your Legos, whether it's your magnetic sticks, whether it's your books, whether it's your pencils, whatever you're given, you look after it carefully, okay?
And don't break it.
Don't break it, don't let it get ruined, don't let it get damaged. Your clothes, your socks, your shoes, whatever it is.
That's wasting money.
Exactly. And that's not something that we're happy with or that God's happy with. Okay, we're supposed to be good stewards of whatever we're given, right? So, first financial principle, we see it's always about wise management of God's blessings. Why? Because God gave us everything. So whatever we have was given to us by God, okay? So being a good steward means that we're managing whatever God gave us, and we have to do it wisely. What is being wise? We've done being wise before. What does it mean to be wise?
Be very good.
No, it's not being very good. It means that the knowledge that you have, you're applying it the right way. So the knowledge that you've got, you're applying it the right way. Because sometimes people can have knowledge but not do it the right way. So for example, I'll give you an example. So for example, you know bedtime is 7 p.m. You know bedtime is 7 p.m., but you don't go to bed at 7 p.m. You go to bed at 10 p.m. So when you do that, you're not being very wise. But being very wise is bedtime is 7 p.m., you go to sleep at 7 p.m. Okay? That's the difference between being wise and having just knowledge. So having knowledge is not good. What you need to do is apply that knowledge very, very well. Okay? What are some of the ways that we can manage our finances? What did I say that you have to do with your finances?
give, invest, save, or spend.
Very good. Say that again one more time for those at the back that couldn't hear.
Give, invest, save, and spend.
And in what order should it come?
What are you talking about?
Invest.
Yes, you invest. Anything you get given, you make sure you always invest in.
There's no one in the back.
Then save.
What are you talking about?
I would say spend, because you need to pay bills, don't you?
Then spend. Then
Invest.
save. Then give.
Very
Invest,
good.
spend,
Right, okay.
invest, spend, give,
Save.
and
Stop telling
save.
mommy secret, okay? And there we go.
What kind of
So, the things you do with the financial benefits that you gain is you invest, you spend, you save, and you give. How do you think you can invest? What do you think? You know, what would be the best ways of you investing?
Stocks and shares. Real
Very
estate.
good. Real estate, okay?
Realistic.
Okay. And spending, everybody knows how to spend. So what would be the best way for you to spend?
On things that you need instead of things that you want.
Exactly.
Giving people a little bit of your money.
That's a black guy.
Yeah. The key thing is you have to recognize that who's the one that provides for everything?
God.
Exactly. Why is it that God provides for everything? Why do you think God... Yeah, he loves us, but why do you think God provides for everything?
Because he created everything.
Yes, very good. He created everything. So even the fact that you can breathe, even the fact that you've got good health, you can see, you can talk, that's because God made it so. He created us. Fantastic. So you must always remember that God is the one who provides everything.
And does everything.
God is our source. He provides everything. Okay?
He's almighty.
Diamond.
You must also remember the diamonds. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. You must always remember that your true value,
I just want you to
that your true value comes from God, okay? Your true value comes from God's love and not material possessions. So even diamonds, as beautiful and as wonderful and as precious as they are not more precious than you, okay? You are precious because God loves you. You are precious because God called you by name. You are precious because God created you in his own image. And what are the attributes that you have if God created you in his own image? Hold on. What are the attributes that you have because God created you in his own image, Missy?
Love.
Very good. You have the ability to love, right? You have the ability to create. And you have the ability to learn, okay? Those are very, very important, right?
Learn, love, correct.
Yes. So quiz part 2. Question 6. How does God feel when we come back to him? A, angry. B, sad. C, overjoyed. Question 7. What does the parable teach us about our worth to God? A, we're not important. B, we're very special to God. C, God doesn't care about us. Question 8. What should we take care of like the woman cared for her coins? A, our toys. B, our friends' things. C, what we have been given. Question 9. What does stewardship mean? A, being a good friend. B, taking care of what we have. C, finding lost things. Question 10. What does the lost coin in the parable represent? A, a lost friend. B, a shiny treasure. C, each of us who sometimes feels lost. Swap, guys. And here are the answers. Oh, Limited, unfortunately, you got 2 wrong.
Did I get?
I got all of them right. I had 10 out of 10.
So, guys, have two sets of sweet this time. Conclusion, guys. This entire parable has been about God's unwavering love.
Stop.
Okay? God's unwavering love. God's never-ending love. God's unfailing love. God's eternal love. Okay?
That means
God's all-encompassing love.
God.
Okay? Right?
God's
That's
heart-
what this parable
God's
has
heart
been about.
love.
Hmm?
God's heart love.
God's heart love. What
Yeah.
does that mean?
It means love from the heart.
Yeah, it's not. Then it's God's love.
All
right.
Who's watching you?
So the first thing that we see is the parable just teaches us about how deeply God loves us. Next, God cares about us individually, even in our wandering. So even when we go astray, even when we get lost, God cares about us. Okay? Because sometimes we do get lost. And how do we find our way back? How do you think we find our way back? What do we need to do? If we get lost,
Pray.
Mommy, you're clapping for him. We just told me
very
to shut my
good.
mouth.
That was very good. Flesh and blood did not reveal that to you. So how do we find our ways back to God if we get lost?
By
Praying to him and reading the
Oh,
Bible.
let me just said it, by praying.
praying.
Yeah. And the prayer could be, Lord, help me. Lord, help me.
How are we going to read the Bible?
That's the prayer.
A prayer can be, Lord, help me to get back.
Exactly.
To my family.
Get back to him. Help me to get back to having a relationship with you. As simple as that. Okay? And lastly,
It's just the last
remember
one. It's just
that you're a treasured coin. Sought and loved by God. What does sought mean? You are a treasured
Looked
coin,
for.
sought and loved by God.
Looked for.
Yeah. That's how special you are.
looking like
What did I say? You're a special what?
Coin, salt, and loved by.
Loved by God.
You're so precious to God. God values so much. You're more precious than diamond. You're more precious than all the gold. If you were
And
the only
coins.
person on planet Earth, God would have still sent Jesus to die for just you. That's how important you are to God. If you were the only person on earth, God would have still sent Jesus to die for just you. That's how important you are. If you were the only person on planet Earth, right? God would have still sent Jesus to die for just you. That's how important you are to him. Okay? So we're all very precious coins to God. He seeks us and he loves us. And that's why he keeps talking to us. Okay? What did I just say now?
He seeks us and he loves us, and that's why he keeps talking to us.
So thanks, guys.
and
That's the end of Sunday school.
Sunday school.
I wanted to see if you were listening. I wanted to see if you were listening. Were you really listening?
Yeah.
Good. That's the end of Saturday school.